Is full-time travel as glamorous and exciting as it appears when you see it on TV or on social media? Truth be told, it depends. It depends on a lot of different things. In today's video, I'm going to talk about some of the realities of full-time travel. In particular, I want to tackle a few things that often get drowned out by other images or stories, such as going down a waterfall or feeding a giraffe or some other unique experience. But these are really important things for people to know if they're considering a life of full-time travel. My coverage on this topic was inspired by a video that was literally called The Truth About Full-Time Travel. It is on a channel called Traveling with Kristen, which I'll link below. Hi, I'm Nadia. I am a solo and slow traveling digital nomad who is exploring the world while on a career break. I offer the perspective of a Gen X, Zennial Black woman who is doing this in real time. And if that sounds like something of interest to you, then you are in the right place. Before I get started, let me give you a little bit of context about my travel-centric life. I am not on vacation. I am doing dishes and doing the laundry and doing the other things that we do just to exist and navigate our lives. When it comes to my priorities, I would say that I focus on practicality, ease, and comfort. And when I spend time in different cities, I will ensure that I'm getting rest, that I am taking time to learn. So I look for immersive experiences, and I want to have some time to slow down and dream. So those are a few of the priorities that I have in mind as I do my explorations. In today's video, I'm going to cover about 8 different categories that I want to put on your radar just for consideration, that flag or highlight some of the realities that I've experienced. So let the countdown begin. Number 1, FOMO is real. The fear of missing out is definitely something that you experience as a full-time traveler. On the one hand, you had this life where you were very involved with a community of people or a job, or you had a whole existence. And now you have an entirely different life, and it probably doesn't involve those people, at least not in the same way. So when I started my journey, it was during COVID, or not that COVID's over, but it was in the earlier part of COVID where we were scared. We didn't know what was happening. We were all trying to figure things out. And life as we had known it was paused. People weren't getting together. People weren't having face-to-face interactions. They weren't going to parties or getting together for happy hour or dinners or things like that. And employers were just trying to figure things out. So from a professional perspective, professional networking wasn't happening in the same way. People were just trying to figure out how to do their job in the midst of this pause and all the uncertainty. Now that we have a better handle on COVID, there is definitely evidence of people getting together once again, celebrations happening, promotions happening, people making big, bold moves in their lives. And I feel like in some ways you're looking at that from afar because you're not as immersed in that life and what you had known and the upstart of all of those things. So you feel as though you're missing out. And really you are missing out, but there are other things happening in your new life. But the one thing I wanted to just point out is that FOMO is real, and it's definitely something that is a reality, maybe a harsh reality about a travel experience, about doing full-time travel. You're just not there for certain things. Number 2, haters. There will be haters, and it may catch you off guard in terms of the level of invasiveness that you may encounter, the assumptions that people make, the responses that people may have to your exploration. It's really none of their business anyway, but you're definitely going to encounter haters. And for me, a couple of things did really tick me off in terms of the comments that I had encountered. People were making assumptions or asking questions or just being really invasive about finances or implying that you're being selfish or telling you that they wouldn't do this, that, or the other, or if they were going to travel, then they would do it a different way than the way in which you're doing it. So people will project their perceptions, their perhaps shortcomings onto you and your experiences. And they're definitely just, haters are always going to be there, and you'll see and encounter some hater scenarios. Number 3, decision fatigue. Especially if you're a solo traveler, you are constantly making decisions and you get tired of it. You feel like you are, you want to be able to delegate, and it's just not as easy to do that. So decision fatigue is something that I encountered, and there were times where I just wanted someone else to be in charge. But that's something to consider, is decision fatigue and just the constant responsibility that you have to navigate and manage and control your experience. Number 4, you are an object in motion. And even if you are going to a place for a stretch of time, there's just always something to figure out. Sometimes you feel as though you just can't be still, and it's not as though you're not able to rest. That's one of the reasons why I try to prioritize rest. But you are trying to figure out where the grocery store is, figure out how to use the oven in the new country, the washing machine in a new country. You're just always, your brain is always going, and I feel like sometimes I'm thinking all the time. I'm trying to figure things out all the time. Just moving and doing, and sometimes even being, is going to test your stamina. So definitely know that you're just in motion. Number 5, identity crisis. If you had a situation where you intertwined your identity with your job, especially if you're on a career break, it will take some adjustment when it comes to a label. You may have once had a title with a little bit of oomph and or maybe cachet, and you may have a little bit of a time grappling with no longer having that identity and want to seek out a different identity for yourself. And I don't know, I just call it an identity crisis, but that's something to be mindful of. That's something that people don't always talk about. Number 6, function versus fashion. You may find that you get a little bit less on trend, and coupled with the whole identity label, woo, you may feel like you're becoming a totally different person. And in some ways you are, but it's something to contend with when you may have an identity crisis in terms of what you call yourself or your label, and your physical appearance, your outward appearance is changing too. So what I mean by that is that there is a point where you're going to just start to favor practicality over trendy, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that you just don't have space for it, or you're really, really concerned about baggage weight. Things are just going to be a little bit different. You just don't have a closet that you can store clothes in. You may find that your interests in terms of what you wear will change given this new life circumstance. Number 7, Connections take work. Sometimes it feels like a lot of work. You will find that you're doing, depending on your time zone, in my case, US based, but I've been sometimes 6, 7 hours away from my core group of people at home. And whew, it's not uncommon. I've joined book club discussions at 2 a.m. I have had 3 a.m. phone calls because I am doing the call with a group of friends, and that is the best time for everyone to get together. And it's 3 a.m. for me, or there is a time that works well for everyone, and it turns out that that time is 3 a.m. for me. So there's definitely some effort that needs to go into maintaining some of those connections. And yeah, it's you're going to need to get comfortable with extending invitations yourself if that's not something you're regularly have done. You're going to probably have a lot of apps because you want to make it convenient for people to get in touch with you. So you're going to get notifications galore. So those are just a lot of things to take into account as it relates to maintaining connections, both for your life at home as well as your new community of friends and people that you're meeting along the way. So connections will take a lot of work. And number 8, out of sight, out of mind. Someone told me this before I left, and I do think it's a valid statement. And it's that people are going to think of you a lot less than you think they will. So you're out of sight, and so you may be out of mind too. So that's my 8. Those are some of those realities that I've experienced or observed, and in some cases have learned from other travelers during my time on the road. See, that list wasn't so bad. I think the main point I was making with all of those things is that a life of full-time travel takes both emotional and physical effort, but nothing should deter you from considering it. In fact, that's where I'm getting ready to take us now. For those 8 categories or, things I put on your radar, I have 8 other comments to help you manage against them. I want you to feel happy. I want you to avoid crankiness and fatigue and to keep yourselves excited about your experiences. So if you don't know what to expect and you're caught off guard or you're not preparing to manage against them, then you could easily end up on a path toward travel burnout, and we just don't want that. So I will keep us moving and go through my counters to the 8 things that I shared with you a few minutes ago. Okay, so number 1, FOMO. Yes, FOMO is real. We all have been in those situations where we feel like the grass is always greener on the other side. But I guarantee that some of those same people that have triggered FOMO in you, they are looking at your grass and they are thinking that it looks like a carpet, some of the most vibrant, healthy, bold, luscious grass that they have ever seen. In fact, they may even come to you to find out how they can have a similar lifestyle or travel experience. So let go of the comparison. It's just not worth it. Number 2, haters. Haters are going to hate. It's a no-win situation. And quite frankly, it's not worth the energy to worry about people who are clearly not on your team. Focus on the people who are going to celebrate and be excited about this experience for you. Let the haters be haters. Don't waste your energy. Number 3, decision fatigue. One of the things I've done to tackle decision fatigue is I identified some standards and boundaries. And not that decisions don't need to get made. I just try to find ways to make the decision-making process simpler. And as an example, when it comes to my accommodation, I have some baseline criteria for a place that I stay in. And it just makes it easier to eliminate or to prioritize or to get to a decision faster about where it is that I will choose for lodging, what place I will choose for lodging. And if your budget allows, opt for ease when you want to opt for ease. Go ahead and get that car service. Go ahead and pay for that more expensive accommodation because, quite frankly, making that investment will sometimes make 20 other things easier. So try to find some ways to establish shortcuts and boundaries and identify your minimum criteria. It helps with the decision-making process. 4, object in motion. One of my favorite hacks to help me manage that is routine. Routines have been clutch when it comes to just managing my energy and keeping me a bit more grounded. So I have a morning and evening routine that is evergreen. So I can utilize the same routine no matter what city I'm in, no matter what time zone, no matter what cultural practices I'm trying to navigate. It's just something that helps keep me feeling grounded and allows me to not get bogged down with the nuances of being in a new place and feeling like I'm always on the go, because there's really no way around the fresh start. Every time you get to a new city, you're always going to need to figure out the grocery store or the transit situation or how to use the oven or, some of those things that are just going to be consistent no matter where you are. So, again, just as with decision fatigue, try to identify some boundaries, put some things in place that help keep you help you find flow. I use Evernote, and I actually have a little list of my whole morning routine and a list of my whole evening routine that I can always reference to see, am I doing all of the things that I want to get done to make to position myself to have an excellent day. So that's a way that I combat that. Number 5, identity crisis. So I think this is one that you could have a lot of fun with. When I left my last position, it was my choice, and I definitely struggled a little bit with the whole identity crisis thing. But one, outside of the US, what my profession was one of the last things that I was asked. So it feels to me, and I've traveled a lot and navigated a number of different cultural and country contexts. It seems like it's a very American thing to really get into profession. It just was not a top question in any of the other places that I visited outside the US. So that's one thing to take note of. And 2, have fun with it. You are in control and you can drive your personal narrative. What would you like your new lifestyle or what you're doing to be described as? Find out something that you, or could just use something or create something that is that tells the story that you want to tell. There's an opportunity for you there, and there's tremendous power in being in control and kind of grabbing that control of your personal narrative and your experience. So names matter, words matter, so take that into consideration. But you have a lot of control when it comes to what you want to call yourself. Enjoy it. Number 6, fashion versus function. So when I kind of loosened my grip on trying to stay, on top of trends, I was finding that I became much more purposeful with my shopping. So I know what I'm looking for. I'll look for something specific. I know what features or, elements that I want a particular piece to have because I want it to make sense for my lifestyle. I will get rid of things. So I may leave them behind. I may make a donation when I get tired of wearing it, or if I uh, need to replace something. Just recently, I had to buy new jeans because I literally wore my other jeans out. Or, you just want to change things up. When I left, I did not know, I didn't expect to be in 4 different seasons. I expected that I was going to boycott winter, which didn't happen. So I had to pick things up along the way. But I was very practical in my approach when it came to what I was purchasing. So main point being that there is going to be a moment where you realize that you're trying to be more practical, and you just don't have the closet space for, or the bag, the space in your bag to have a bunch of shoes, or it doesn't make sense to have a bunch of high heels. I mean, just things like that will come into play. But what I also found was that I started to get interested in other things. So I started paying attention to accessories, or I might look for a scarf, or I might try to add colors that complement everything that's already in my bag. So main thing, you just start getting more practical when it comes to what you are purchasing for fashion. Number 7 and number 8, I'm actually putting together. So those were connections take work and out of sight, out of mind. And I think the most important thing is that this is how you this is where you look at making new friends, but keeping the old. And yes, it does take work. And I even have a video that focuses on loneliness and making friends along the road to keep the lonelies at bay. But I have become very intentional about keeping my relationships warm. And I do a couple of things that I may not have done in the past. So I've become big on sending postcards. People love getting the postcards, and I really, really enjoy writing them and sending them off, especially to elders in the family. And I make time for people. I'm deliberate about it, and I wasn't always as deliberate about it in the past. So I've been surprised by some of the people that have responded to a Facebook post, or have taken interest in my travels. Sometimes people I haven't heard from, but they're so glad to know about this change in what I'm doing with my time and my lifestyle. So there's going to be a tremendous amount of reward in putting the effort in. Your efforts will be rewarded. But if you're not accustomed to doing that, it's definitely going to take work. It will feel like a lift, but it's worth it. It's your circle is expanding by leaps and bounds as you're meeting people along the way, and as you continue to nurture the relationships that already were in existence. So there you have it. You have my 8, and you have the counter to my 8. I, as I mentioned before, none of those realities have prompted me to regret my decision, or to have a desire to immediately head back home. In fact, what keeps happening is I keep pushing my date. So my original thought was that I'd be gone for 6 months, and we're inching up toward a year at this point. So, you know, there you go. I obviously am enjoying it. So before I close, I would sum up 2 things related to full-time travel and the realities of it. One is, go into it with your eyes wide open. Don't succumb to the romanticized version of what it looks like to be on the road. Listen to the people who are doing it. And the good, the bad, the ugly, you have to be flexible with travel. So just definitely go into it with your eyes wide open. And I think something that's really, really important to consider and to look out for is a replication of your old life, or of the life that you're leaving behind. Don't do that. You are going to miss out on so much, and your efforts are going to be futile and disappointing. So live in the moment, enjoy where you are, enjoy being in this new space. And you may even find that this new existence is bolder and more exciting than you ever could have imagined. So embrace the new and different. So I posed a question or made a statement earlier in the video, which was, do we think that full-time travel is as glamorous and as exciting as it's made out to be? And my answer was that it depends. But I think the depends is really driven by what you decide glamour and excitement and all of that means to you. So yes, it absolutely can be, because it's very personal and it's all about what you make of it. And you have the power within you to turn it into whatever kind of experience you want it to be. So I'd love to see more people taking the leap and doing full-time travel, taking a career break and seeing all that the world has to offer. And if you like this video, definitely subscribe. Don't forget to turn on your notifications. I'll continue to share insights and observations from my travels. I hope this is helpful to you. Share your thoughts in the comments. Tell me what, I guess, realities you've experienced, and I will look forward to reading them and connecting with you on a future video. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.